You bombed human colonies? Congratulations, you just awakened the dragon. And now the galaxy will learn why attacking humanity was the worst mistake in history. The obsidian chamber stretched into darkness, its walls carved from the fossilized remains of a dead world. 7 figures sat around a hexagonal table that pulsed with bioluminescent veins, their forms barely visible in the dim light. These were the Hegemony Council, rulers of 17 star systems and subjugators of a dozen species. Sektar, the Void Admiral, leaned forward, his chitinous exoskeleton clicking against the table. The human expansion continues unchecked. 3. New colonies established in the Kepler cluster this cycle alone. His compound eyes reflected the table's eerie glow. They grow like a cancer across our territory. Cancer, repeated Vexani, the psychological warfare specialist, her tentacles writhing with amusement. How fitting. The humans believe themselves immune to our standard intimidation protocols. They've ignored every warning, every demonstration of our power. The chamber fell silent except for the soft breathing of the council members. They had conquered civilizations that spanned millennia, crushed empires that once thought themselves eternal. Species had knelt before them, surrendered their worlds, their children, their very souls. All except one. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. Zephrok, the eldest of the council, spoke with a voice like grinding stone. In our expansion across the galaxy, we have encountered 847 sentient species. 846 have submitted to our will after appropriate demonstrations. His ancient eyes fixed on each council member in turn. Only the humans remain defiant. They are young, hissed Morthal, the fleet commander. Barely 2 centuries since they achieved interstellar flight. They should cower like all the others. Yet they don't. Vexani's voice carried a note of professional frustration. Our terror. Campaigns against the Zalaxians broke them in 3 days. The Karathi lasted a full week. We've been demonstrating against human outposts for 6 months and still they expand. Sektar pulled up a holographic display showing the galactic arm. Red dots marked hegemony territory, while blue specks indicated human colonies. The blue dots were spreading like spilled ink across the map. Here, the mining colony on Kepler 442b. 17,000 humans, minimal defenses, a perfect example. The message must be clear, Zephrok intoned. Total annihilation. Let the surviving colonies see what happens to those who defy the hegemony. Perhaps the sight of their burning worlds will finally teach them fear. The vote was unanimous. Sarah Chen pressed her palm against the observation deck's cool metal as she watched the sunrise paint Kepler 442b's twin moons in shades of amber and gold. New harmony stretched below her, a testament to human ingenuity carved from an alien landscape. Crystalline towers rose from terraced gardens, while magnetic rail lines connected residential domes to the mining facilities that made this world valuable. 17,000 people called this place home. Families who had traveled 47 light years to build something new. Children who had never seen Earth's sky, who thought the binary sunset was the most natural thing in the universe. You're up early. Marcus Rivera, the colony administrator, joined her at the observation window. Dark circles under his eyes suggested he hadn't slept. Couldn't sleep either, Sarah asked. As head of colonial security, she'd been on edge for weeks. The reports from other human settlements were troubling. Ships appearing at the edge of systems conducting what could only be surveillance. Warning messages broadcast in broken English, demanding humanity's withdrawal from claimed territories. The morning transport from Earth arrives today, Marcus said. 300 new colonists, families mostly. Engineers and teachers and farmers. He paused. I keep wondering if we should have postponed it. Sarah turned to study his weathered face. Marcus had been among the first wave of colonists 5 years ago, had helped choose the location for New Harmony's first dome. You think they'll actually attack? I think we've never encountered a species that makes demands the way these hegemony forces do. Every other first contact has been about trade or territorial agreements. This feels different. The colony's AI chimed softly. Administrator Rivera, we're receiving a priority transmission from the outer system sensors. Marcus and Sarah exchanged glances. Put it through, Arya. The display wall flickered to life, showing a tactical overview of the Kepler 442 system. At the edge of the solar system, moving past the orbit of the gas giant Poseidon, red contacts appeared. 12 ships in a precise formation, heading directly for Kepler 442b. Unknown vessels, this is New Harmony Colony Control. Marcus broadcast on all frequencies. You are approaching a sovereign human settlement. Please state your intentions and reduce speed for peaceful dialogue. The response came immediately, broadcast on every communication channel simultaneously. The voice that emerged was artificial, translated through some kind of universal communicator, but the malice behind it was unmistakably real. Attention, human infestation. You have been warned repeatedly to abandon territories claimed by the hegemony. Your species' continued defiance has been noted. This colony will serve as an example to other human settlements. You have 2 of your, time units to evacuate. After that, all life on this world will be eliminated. The transmission ended, leaving only static. 2 hours, Sarah whispered. They're giving us 2 hours to evacuate 17,000 people. Marcus was already moving. Arya, emergency broadcast to all colony sections. Evacuation Protocol 7. All civilians to the shelters immediately. He turned to Sarah. What do we have for defenses? Against 12 warships? Sarah's laugh was bitter. We have mining charges, some construction mechs that could be weaponized, and about 300 small arms scattered across the colony. This isn't a military installation, Marcus. We're miners and farmers and teachers. Then we improvise. Marcus brought up the colony schematics on his display. The shelters were built to withstand meteor impacts and geological instability. They're 200 meters underground, reinforced with the same materials we use for spaceship hulls. You think that'll be enough? I think it's what we have. Marcus began typing rapidly, sending orders to department heads across the colony. Sarah, I need you to coordinate the evacuation. Get everyone underground in the next 90 minutes. No exceptions. As alarms began wailing across New Harmony, Sarah felt something cold settle in her stomach. She'd read the historical accounts, knew about humanity's wars and conflicts throughout their bloody history. But this was different. This was extermination, pure and simple. Arya, send a priority message to Earth and all human colonies. Full, tactical data on the approaching fleet. Tell them. She paused, watching families hurrying through the corridors below, parents carrying sleeping children, elderly couples helping each other toward the shelter entrances. Tell them what happened here. Make sure they remember. Fleet Admiral Helena Zhao stood in the command center of humanity's newest battlecruiser, the UES Defiance, as reports flooded in from across human space. 27 screens showed 27 different colonies, and on each one the news was the same. New Harmony is gone, Admiral. Commander Torres, her intelligence officer, spoke in the flat tone of someone trying to maintain professionalism while delivering catastrophic news. Orbital bombardment lasted for 6 hours. The entire surface has been sterilized. Survivors? Unknown. The attack was thorough. Every structure above ground was targeted. If anyone survived, they'd be in the underground shelters, but we won't know until a rescue ship arrives. Torres paused. That'll be another 48 hours at minimum. Admiral Zhao had commanded human fleets for 30 years, had overseen the expansion that took humanity to 47 star systems. She'd negotiated first contact with 6 alien species, had helped establish the trade agreements that made human expansion economically viable. She was a diplomat as much as a warrior, but as she watched the tactical display showing the smoking ruins of what had been New Harmony, something ancient and terrible stirred in her chest. What about the other colonies? Are they evacuating? That's the problem, Admiral. They're not. Commander Torres highlighted several systems on the galactic map. We've sent evacuation orders to every human settlement within 50 light-years of the attack. Know what the responses have been? The main screen shifted to show a communication log. Message after message from colony administrators, mining station chiefs, exploration outposts. Admiral Zhao read them with growing amazement. Terra Nova Colony will not abandon our home. Send weapons. Administrator Jackson Vanguard Station requesting immediate military support. We will hold position. Captain Singh, New Shanghai Colony Council unanimous vote. No evacuation. We dig in here. Governor Liu Kepler Mining Consortium. Converting. Industrial equipment to weapons platforms. Request tactical support. Operations Chief Martinez Torres continued. Admiral, in 30 years of human expansion, we've never had a single colony refuse an evacuation order. Not once. Hurricane, volcanic eruption, plague outbreak. They always listened to Fleet Command. His voice carried a note of wonder. Now they're telling us they'd rather fight. Admiral Zhao studied the faces in the communication windows. These weren't soldiers. They were farmers and miners, teachers and engineers, families who'd traveled light years to build new lives, and every single one of them was volunteering to stay and fight against overwhelming odds. Get me a direct line to Earth Command, she ordered. Priority Alpha authorization. The connection established within minutes. Fleet Admiral Chen Wei appeared on the main screen, his weathered face grim. Behind him, Admiral Zhao could see the organized chaos of Earth's primary military command center. Helena, I assume you're calling about New Harmony. I'm calling about all of it, Chen. The attack, the response, the situation we're facing. Admiral Zhao gestured to the tactical display. Sir, I've been reviewing first contact protocols with aggressive species. The standard response is diplomatic contact, territorial negotiation, graduated military response if necessary. That's correct. I don't think that applies here, sir. Admiral Zhao pulled up the recording of the hegemony's ultimatum broadcast. Listen to this again. Human infestation. All life on this world will be eliminated. This isn't territorial dispute. This is attempted genocide. Admiral Chen was quiet for a long moment. What are you recommending, Helena? I'm recommending we stop pretending this is a normal first contact situation. Admiral Zhao's voice hardened. They just murdered 17,000 civilians to send a message. They want us to be afraid. They want us to run. And instead? Admiral Zhao smiled, and something in that expression would have made the Hegemony Council reconsider their tactics if they could have seen it. Instead, sir, I think it's time to remind the galaxy why every human colony has a memorial to the victims of our ancient wars, why we teach our children about Thermopylae and Stalingrad and Normandy. Helena, they attacked our civilians, Admiral, our families, our children. Her voice carried the weight of 30 years of command, of a lifetime spent protecting human space. They wanted to wake the dragon. Congratulations to them, mission accomplished. The connection held steady as Admiral Chen considered. In the background, Admiral Zhao could hear the controlled chaos of Earth's command center as reports continued flooding in from across human space. Finally, Admiral Chen nodded. You have operational command of the Colonial Defense Fleet, Helena. Rules of engagement are whatever you deem necessary. Thank you, sir. Helena, make them regret this. Admiral Zhao smiled again, and this time her expression was pure predator. Oh, they will. 3 weeks after New Harmony burned, the Hegemony Council convened in emergency session. The obsidian chamber that had witnessed the planning of countless conquests now hosted something unprecedented in their 1,000-year history. Confusion. Explain to me, Zephrok's voice carried dangerous undertones, how 17 human settlements have managed to repel our fleets. Morthal, the fleet commander, stood before a tactical display that showed humiliating defeat after defeat. The humans are not fighting like any species we've encountered. At Kepler 186F, they converted their mining equipment into kinetic weapons. Asteroid miners became siege cannons. They turned their entire moon into a weapons platform. A mining colony, hissed Sektar. We sent a full battle squadron to destroy a mining colony, and they drove off our ships with construction equipment. It gets worse. Morthal highlighted another system. New Geneva. They had 48 hours warning before our fleet arrived. When we entered the system, every asteroid in the belt had been moved into defensive positions. They'd turned the entire system into a fortress. Vexani's tentacles writhed with agitation. Our psychological profile suggested humans would panic under pressure, would fragment and flee like the other species. Instead, they seemed to be organizing. The display shifted to show intercepted human communications. Zefrock read them, with growing disbelief. This is Governor Martinez of Tau Ceti Colony. Any human ship in range, we're sharing our defensive modifications. Farming mechs can be converted to mobile artillery with the following specifications. New Shanghai Engineering Corps has developed improved shield generators using mining equipment, transmitting blueprints on all frequencies. Vanguard Station. To all human settlements. We've successfully weaponized cargo containers. Impact specifications attached. Give them hell. They're sharing weapons technology, Zefrock observed. Every colony we attack makes the rest stronger. It's worse than that, Morthal continued. They're not just defending. 3 of our patrol fleets have gone missing in the past week. We found debris from the Void Talon squadron scattered across the Rigel system. No survivors. Impossible. The humans have no military fleet capable of engaging our ships. They do, now. Morthal brought up new intelligence data. Earth's industrial capacity has been completely converted to military production. They're building warships at a rate we didn't think possible for their technological level. But more concerning, they're not building them like normal species would. The display showed human ship designs, and even the Hegemony Council fell silent. Where other species built elegant, efficient vessels, humans had created floating fortresses. Ships bristling with weapons, layered with armor, designed not for beauty or speed but for one purpose only. They're building ships designed to kill us, Sektar whispered. Every human vessel carries the same designation, Morthal continued. UES, United Earthship, followed by names like Retribution, Vengeance, New Harmony's Wrath. Remember the Fallen. They're not just building a fleet. They're building a fleet specifically designed for revenge. Vexani had been analyzing human communications intercepts. The psychological data is disturbing. Other species, when faced with overwhelming force, either submit or fragment into competing groups. Humans appear to be doing the opposite. The attack on New Harmony hasn't terrified them. It's unified them. She played an audio recording. The voice was that of Fleet Admiral Helena Zhao, captured during what appeared to be a fleet briefing. Ladies and gentlemen, 17,000 people died on New Harmony. 17,000 civilians who were trying to build something beautiful on a distant world. The hegemony killed them to send us a message about fear. I think it's time we sent them a message about consequences. The recording continued with tactical briefings, ship assignments, weapon specifications. But underlying every word was something that made the Hegemony Council uncomfortable. Absolute, focused determination. How many ships are they building? Zefrock asked. Our intelligence suggests over 3,000 vessels currently under construction, across 12 shipyards. Production rate is accelerating. Morthal paused. Sir, at current rates the human fleet will outnumber our forces in this sector within 6 months. That's impossible. No species develops military capacity that quickly. No other species has ever had to. Vexani's voice carried a note of something that might have been respect. We've conquered civilizations across thousands of years. Every species we've encountered has had centuries or millennia to develop their technology, their culture, their military doctrine. They were set in their ways, predictable. And the humans? The humans are barely 200 years old as a spacefaring species. They have no established way of doing things. When we force them to become a military power, they're not constrained by tradition or doctrine. Her tentacles curled in what passed for concern among her species. They're making it up as they go along, and they're very good at improvisation. Zefrock stood, his ancient frame creaking. Recommendations? Full withdrawal from human space, Morthal said immediately. Establish a buffer zone. Avoid contact for the next century while they calm down. Unacceptable. We cannot show weakness to the other subject species. Then negotiate, Vexani suggested. Offer territorial agreements, trade partnerships. Every other species can be bargained with. With respect, Sektar interjected. I'm not sure the humans are interested in negotiation anymore. They've stopped responding to our communications entirely. Every diplomatic overture is met with the same response, which is, Sektar played a recording. A human voice, cold and professional. The hegemony is invited to surrender unconditionally. No other terms will be considered. The council chamber fell silent. Finally, Zephrok spoke. How many of our ships would it take to sterilize Earth itself? Sir, if we destroy their homeworld, their industrial capacity dies with it. Problem solved. Morthul was quiet for a long moment. Admiral, our intelligence suggests that Earth's current population is approximately 12 billion. Total casualties from such an action would be... I don't care about casualties. I care about eliminating this threat. Sir, with respect, I'm not sure that would solve our problem. Vexani brought up a new display. Humans are already established on 47 worlds. Even if we destroy Earth, they have industrial capacity on at least a dozen other planets. And our psychological profile suggests that if we kill 12 billion of them, what? The survivors won't surrender, sir. They'll become something we've never faced before. An entire species with nothing left to lose and the industrial capacity to act on it. In the silence that followed, each council member contemplated a galaxy where humanity had been pushed beyond any possibility of negotiation or surrender. A species that had proven capable of turning mining equipment into weapons, cargo containers into missiles, and entire asteroid belts into fortresses. There is one other option, Morthul said quietly, which is, we could try something we've never had to do before in our 1,000-year expansion across this galaxy. His voice carried the weight of impending humiliation. We could apologize. 6 months after New Harmony burned, the UES Defiance led a fleet of 200 human warships into the Vega system, where the hegemony maintained their regional command center. Admiral Helena Zhao stood on the bridge, watching as her sensors counted the enemy fleet arrayed before them. Tactical assessment, Commander Torres. 47 hegemony vessels, Admiral. Mixed class. Battleships, cruisers, destroyers. They're in a defensive formation around the orbital station. Torres paused. Admiral, they're broadcasting on all frequencies, requesting parley. Are they now? Admiral Zhao's smile was cold. Put them through. The main screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of a hegemony command ship. The alien figure that appeared was tall, insectoid, with compound eyes that reflected the bridge lighting. I am Fleet Admiral Kethmore of the Hegemony Forces. I request immediate ceasefire and diplomatic discussion. This is Fleet Admiral Helena Zhao of the United Earth Colonial Defense Force. There will be no ceasefire. Her voice carried the weight of 6 months of preparation, of 47 human colonies converted into fortresses, of an entire species that had decided they were done being afraid. Admiral Zhao, surely we can reach some accommodation. The incident at the human colony was a regrettable misunderstanding of territorial boundaries. Incident? Admiral Zhao's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. You call the murder of 17,000 civilians an incident? Perhaps reparations could be discussed. The hegemony is prepared to offer compensation for any losses suffered by human settlements. Compensation. Admiral Zhao gestured to her communications officer. Torres, transmit the names. Admiral, transmit the names of every person who died on New Harmony. All 17,347 of them. Sarah Chen, Colony Security Chief. Marcus Rivera, Colony Administrator. The Williams family, parents Robert and Elizabeth. Children Jennifer, age 7, and Michael, age 4. Her voice never wavered as the list scrolled across every screen in both fleets. Dr. Patel, who delivered the first baby born on New Harmony. Minister Garcia, who married 16 couples and buried 43 colonists who died of old age before you murdered everyone. The transmission continued for 20 minutes. 20 minutes of names, ages, occupations, dreams, cut short by orbital bombardment. These were not statistics, Admiral Kethmore. These were people. Each one had a family, friends, plans for the future, and you killed them all to send a message about fear. The hegemony commander's compound eyes seemed to dim. Admiral Zhao, the hegemony regrets. The hegemony will surrender immediately and unconditionally, or we will demonstrate what happens when you teach humans to fear. Admiral Zhao's voice carried absolute finality. Those are your options. Admiral, surely you understand that the hegemony cannot simply surrender to a single species. We have 17 star systems under our control, dozens of subject species. If we show weakness, you should have thought of that before you decided to murder our families. Admiral Zhao gestured to her tactical officer. Mr. Kim, target their command ship. Admiral, we have them locked. Admiral Zhao. Kethmore's voice carried desperation now. We can negotiate territorial boundaries, establish trade agreements, create buffer zones between our species. The time for negotiation ended when you fired on New Harmony. Admiral Zhao's expression was carved from stone. You wanted to make an example of human colonists. You succeeded. Now we're going to make an example of you. Sir, Torres called from his station, I'm reading massive energy signatures throughout human space. Every colony, every outpost, every human settlement is powering up weapon systems. Admiral Zhao smiled, and the expression would have terrified anyone who understood what it meant. Admiral Kethmore, let me explain something about human nature that your intelligence files apparently missed. We are pack hunters. When you attack one of us, you attack all of us. When you threaten our families, our children, our futures, you don't create fear. You create unity. The tactical display lit up with new contacts. Human ships emerging from hyperspace jumps throughout the system. Not just ships, entire fleets. The mining vessels from the asteroid belt colonies, converted into mobile weapons platforms. The exploration ships, bristling with improvised weapons. Even civilian transports, their cargo bays filled with missile launchers. Every human settlement you failed to destroy has been preparing for this moment, Admiral Zhao continued. Every colony you threatened has been building weapons. Every family you tried to terrorize has been training to fight. You wanted to wake the dragon, Admiral. Congratulations. The sensor readings were impossible. Over 800 human vessels were converging on the Vega system from every direction. Ships that should have taken months to travel such distances had arrived simultaneously, suggesting coordination on a scale the hegemony had never encountered. This is impossible, Kethmore whispered. No species coordinates on this level. Most species don't have to learn to fight for their survival against genocidal aliens, Admiral Zhao replied. Mr. Kim, are all human fleets in position? Yes. Admiral, every target in the system is locked. All ships report ready for your command. Admiral Zhao looked at the hegemony commander one last time. Admiral Kethmore, you came to human space to teach us about fear and submission. Instead, you taught us that there are things in this galaxy worth fighting for, worth dying for, worth killing for. She raised her hand, and across 800 human ships, weapon systems powered to full charge. You bombed human colonies to send a message about power. Let us send you a message about consequences. Her hand fell. All ships, fire. The Vega system lit up like a newborn star as 800 human ships opened fire simultaneously. Not the elegant, measured combat of civilized species, but the brutal, overwhelming violence of a species that had learned warfare in the trenches of 1,000 ancient battles. When the light faded, nothing remained of the hegemony fleet but expanding clouds of debris. Broadcast on all frequencies, Admiral Zhao ordered. To every hegemony installation, every subject species, every corner of their empire. Tell them the dragon is awake. Tell them humanity is coming. And tell them that the price of teaching us to fight is going to be higher than they ever imagined. As the human fleet prepared to jump to the next hegemony system, Admiral Zhao stood before the memorial wall that every human ship now carried, the names of New Harmony's dead etched in metal that had been forged from the wreckage of the first hegemony ships they destroyed. 17,000 people, she whispered to the names. They taught us that we're stronger than we knew. They taught us that some things are worth any price to defend. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, carrying their message of consequences to every corner of hegemony space. Behind them, the Vega system burned. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. 1 year after New Harmony. The Galactic Diplomatic Assembly had never hosted a session quite like this one. Representatives from 43 species filled the great amphitheater on Nexus Station, but all attention was focused on the two figures at the center podium. Zephrok, the last surviving member of the Hegemony Council, stood in what could only be described as surrender posture. His ancient exoskeleton was cracked, his compound eyes dim with defeat. Across from him, Fleet Admiral Helena Zhao represented humanity in their first official diplomatic appearance before the galactic community. The Hegemony formally requests mediation from the Galactic Assembly. Zephrok's voice was barely audible. We seek terms for cessation of hostilities with the human species. A murmur ran through the assembly. In the 1,000-year history of the hegemony, they had never requested mediation. They had been the ones imposing terms, demanding submission, carving out territories from other species' homeworlds. Ambassador Colonie of the Zalaxian Confederacy leaned forward. What are the current territorial holdings of the hegemony? We retain control of our home system and 2 agricultural worlds. Zephrok's admission sent shockwaves through the assembly. All other territories have been liberated by human forces. 17 star systems, whispered someone in the gallery. They held 17 star systems. What are humanity's terms? Asked Ambassador Korth of the Crystalline Alliance. Admiral Zhao stood, and despite her relatively small size compared to many species in the assembly, her presence dominated the chamber. Unconditional surrender. Complete withdrawal to hegemony home space, reparations to all species they enslaved or terrorized over the past millennium, and a formal guarantee that they will never again target civilian populations of any species. And, if these terms are not accepted? Admiral Zhao's smile was cold. Then we continue our educational program regarding the consequences of attacking human colonies. Ambassador Vorthak of the Trader Collective had been studying the tactical reports. Admiral Zhao, our records show that humanity achieved this. Victory, using converted civilian vessels and improvised weapons. Is this accurate? Partially. We also built about 4,000 dedicated warships. Admiral Zhao gestured to the viewing screens, which showed the human fleet currently orbiting Nexus Station. Would you like to see them? The screens lit up, with images that made several ambassadors step backward. Human ships were unlike anything else in the galaxy, not sleek or elegant, but brutal and purposeful. Each vessel bristled with weapons layered with armor, and bore names that told the story of humanity's awakening. UES New Harmony's Vengeance, UES Remember the Fallen, UES Never Again, UES Dragon's Wrath. We learned something about ourselves. This past year, Admiral Zhao continued, we learned that when someone threatens our families, our children, our future, we don't negotiate, we don't compromise, we don't surrender. Her eyes found Zephrok across the podium. We adapt, we improvise, we overcome, and we remember. Ambassador Trelawney spoke carefully. Admiral, the galactic community appreciates humanity's response to hegemony aggression. However, some species are concerned about the implications of such rapid military expansion. You're afraid we'll do to you what we did to them? Admiral Zhao's voice carried understanding rather than threat. Ambassador, humanity has no interest in conquest or empire. We're explorers, builders, dreamers. We want to plant gardens on distant worlds and raise our children under alien suns. Her expression hardened, But we've learned that sometimes to protect gardens you need gardeners who know how to fight. And if another species threatens human colonies, then they'll learn what the hegemony learned, that attacking human civilians is the fastest way to turn farmers and miners and teachers into an army that won't stop until their enemies are dust. The assembly fell silent. Finally, Ambassador Korth spoke. What does humanity want from the galactic community? Trade, friendship, shared knowledge, and peaceful cooperation. Admiral Zhao paused. And the understanding that human space is under the protection of people who have learned that some prices are too high to pay, and some lessons are too important to forget. She gestured to the memorial wall visible through the station's viewing ports, a monument to new harmony that human engineers had built in the neutral zone, visible from every approach to Nexus Station. 17,000 people died to teach us who we could become when we had to. They taught us that we're stronger than we knew, braver than we thought, and more dangerous than anyone imagined. Admiral Zhao's voice carried across the assembled representatives of 43 species. The dragon is awake now, it will protect its own. As the session ended and the various ambassadors filed out, many carrying urgent messages to their home governments, Zephrok approached Admiral Zhao. I need to understand, he said quietly. How did you do it? How did your species transform so completely in such a short time? Admiral Zhao looked at him with something that might have been pity. We didn't transform, Zephrok. We remembered. Every human child learns the stories. Thermopylae, where 300 warriors held off an army. The Warsaw Ghetto, where civilians fought tanks with courage and improvised weapons. D-Day, where ordinary people crossed an ocean to fight tyranny. Legends. History. You wanted to know what humans do when someone threatens their families? Admiral Zhao smiled, and this time the expression was sad rather than cold. We do what we've always done. We fight, we adapt, we overcome, and we make sure it never happens again. As the hegemony delegation prepared to depart, Zephrok turned back one last time. What happens now? Now you go home to your 3 remaining worlds and remember what you learned. And the rest of the galaxy learns that humanity is willing to be your friend, your partner, your ally. Admiral Zhao's eyes were steel. But never again your victim. The message spread across the galaxy faster than hyperspace communications. Humanity had awakened, had transformed from peaceful explorers into something unprecedented. A species that would fight with the fury of angels to protect their own, but would extend hands of friendship to those who came in peace. In the years that followed, many species would come to understand the lesson of new harmony. That attacking human colonies was not just an act of war. It was an awakening of something that had slept in the human heart for generations, waiting for the moment when it would be needed again. The dragon was awake. It would not sleep again. Authors. Note: this HFY story explores the classic theme of humanity's hidden strength revealed through adversity. The title reflects the concept that attacking human civilians doesn't create fear. It creates unity, determination, and a focused response that overwhelms aggressors through sheer coordination and improvised tactics. The dragon represents humanity's capacity for both creation and destruction, peacefully dormant until awakened by those who mistake exploration for weakness.